Hey guys, I'm Ricky from the Smalls RV Adventures, and this week we're going to go over things not going perfectly while you're traveling. One thing I learned while traveling is never to panic and always have a backup plan. Sometimes things don't go as planned, but don't stress. All you have to do is look at a lot of these YouTube videos or do some searches and you'll figure out how to fix multiple things in your rig. Most things are really simple to fix. I remember one time we had a problem with our city water connection filling up our freshwater tank. That was an easy fix. There are multiple videos on YouTube just to go over how to fix that. All you have to do is fill up your freshwater tank, turn on your pump, turn on a few faucets just to activate that valve so it can close. Just a basic search on YouTube will fix that common problem. Another issue I was having was the side paneling of my walls coming loose. It's like when you're driving, you're going through like a bumpy earthquake, and it's like, wow, like every time you drive, something's gonna come apart. The screws are unloosing. So you just have to remember, you can glue those panels back up, or you can get these small screws that are meant for RVs, and you can nail it back in. I don't like screws, so I usually use sneaker glue. Sneaker glue is the best. It holds really, really tight, and it holds in extreme temperatures, which your RV is going to go through. It's going to go through really cold temperatures. It's going to go through really hot, extreme temperatures. And it has some sort of flexibility in it. So when you're driving up and down the roads and you're going through bumps, it will be able to handle all of the bumps that it's going through. Along with the paneling, you're going to notice that sometimes your wallpaper comes loose. That's because you have like the temperature changers inside the RV. You may have hot, warm conditions. You may have cold conditions, which create condensation, which most likely makes the glue that's on the paper come loose. And all you have to do is just glue it right back up. Most times, any type of glue will glue it back up, but I'm going back to the sneaker glue. Sneaker glue works for that too. You just put a little dab, you smudge that paper back on, and I never had that problem again once I smudged it back together with the sneaker glue. I always walk around the rig just seeing what's coming off and what's coming loose, and I always pay attention to the walls. Just to see if the wallpaper is coming loose, and I pay attention to mold too, if that's growing up. We haven't had an issue with that, but I always pay attention in the closets and everywhere else. And when the wallpaper comes off, I just put a little bit of glue and I smudge it right back on and it never comes back off again. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my stove came apart during my last trip. My last trip, I'm driving, everything was fine. We get into the RV, we set everything up, everything was fine. And then we went to go cut on the stove and noticed that something was missing. The top part of the burners were missing. Those things are all screwed in. Hold on, let me give you a nice look at this. This is the stove inside the RV. Don't mind us, we just cooked, so we have to clean this up. But this 1, 2, 3, these are all burners that's screwed underneath. And they can come loose while you're driving. And this one came loose, and this one came loose, and I had to put them back on. This comes off, this piece here, and the piece underneath, this black piece, they just come right off. They're not screwed in. You can just pull them right up. And underneath, you'll see that these things on top of the burners, I'm pointing to them right here, those are screwed in from the bottom. But there's another screw behind each of these that you can take off, and once you take that screw off, you'll be able to pick this up, turn it around, and you can screw those pieces right back in. It's an easy fix, very easy fix for that. The stove was just an easy fix, but what I'm noticing about this RV is that a lot of small things happen, and if you wait for a technician to come or you wait for your inspection, you're gonna have a lot of things wrong with your RV. So it's better to check them out Search YouTube for each thing that happens to your RV. You can even check out some of the issues that people are having before you have them, so that when they do happen with you, you'll be well equipped in knowledge and know how to fix them. Something that I'm waiting for is for the fridge to have some sort of issues. I heard in cold weather that these fridges, they don't perform as well as they do in the summer. Right now, our fridge is performing well. I haven't heard or experienced any of the issues that I saw. Maybe this brand of fridge is like really, really good. It's a Norcold. It's not a residential. It's a 12-volt fridge. Its freezer's really good. I noticed the top shelf of the refrigerator is like a freezer. So anything that we can't fit in the freezer that can go in the refrigerator, we put in the top on the top shelf, because the top shelf holds all of the items that need to be cold. Sometimes it freezes them, so I don't put my eggs. No eggs on the top shelf. You have frozen eggs. Eggs go at the bottom. Another issue I was having was a flat tire. Remember, when you go on these long trips, every time you fill up for gas, you're going to want to check your tires. Every time I stop, I do a full walk around of the rig. Now, that's not 100% prevention, but you can detect something if it's happening or occurring as you're driving. If you're at that gas station, you can prevent like a disaster. Hopefully you can catch it. Sometimes it happens when you're driving on the road, and it's hard to feel if you got a flat tire in your RV. But I have a little tip. Sometimes when you're going around bends in the road, if you look in your rearview mirrors, you can see the tires. So if I'm making a left turn, I can look in the rearview mirror and see both of the tires on the trailer. And the same thing, making a right turn, I can see both of the rear wheels of the trailer tires. So that's a small tip that may help you if you're having like a issue with the tires. We got a flat and we got it fixed, but we were going to boondock anyway. So we just boondocked and called our insurance, and they sent someone out to fix the tire. So always remember your insurance. If you have roadside assistance, hopefully it's included in your plan. They will come out and fix that tire for you. So that's always a great option to add to your insurance policy, because it's free of charge. When you have to pay, it can go from anywhere from $75 to $100, depending on the location and the cost of that person coming out. So always add that protection to your policy. One more thing about the tires. Every time before I trip, I always check the lug nuts on the tires. Sometimes I check it and those lug nuts are not tight. I mean, they're snug, but it just takes a little bit to loosen it. You don't want that when you drive down the road. So I always tighten it where it's not just snug, it's tight. So I feel secure that those wheels are not going anywhere when I'm driving down the road. Another thing that you're going to experience while you're on the road is leaky fixtures, your plumbing fixtures. You're going to find leaks certain places in your RV. All you have to do is check those fixtures just to see if they're loose or not. If you see water coming out, most likely it's loose. A common solution to those: cut the water off that's coming to your RV. If you're using just your fresh water tank, cut your pump off. If you're using your city water connection, just close the spigot for a second, open up a line to let all of the water that's in the pipe come out, and you can tighten it or unscrew it. I like using plumber's tape. Plumber's tape is like that white tape that you can put around the fixture, the screw fixture, and then you can screw the nut back on. Usually when you do that, it will stop the leak. It's just an extra protection, a sealant that you can just you can take off if you want. Like it's not going to glue the pipe together, the fixture together. It's just an extra sealant to help prevent from the leaking. I see a lot of talks about condensation in the RV. We use a dehumidifier, a big one, the size that you would use in a home, like in a basement of your home, a big house. We use that in the RV, and you're still going to get condensation, especially if you have a big family in the winter, because you're using propane. The propane is like a wet gas, and it's going to produce liquid in the air. When you're breathing, it's going to produce liquid in the air, condensation. Pets produce condensation, especially when we sleeping. You know, we sleeping, our mouths are open. Ah, the dog too, everybody's mouth is open. We produce a lot of condensation. So you're going to see the most of it during the morning hours when you guys are waking up. So if you just keep your dehumidifier on, you get a big one. Some people also use these plants that track the water. You can use that too, but you have to remember to empty out those buckets, because with the plants, they just keep taking the water and the water would just overflow, creating another problem. The dehumidifier would just take all of the water out of the air. You empty the bucket, you put it back in, and it keeps pumping. You can even get 2 dehumidifiers depending on how much output it has, so that you won't trip your breakers in your RV. And if you're in a campground or you're staying full-time somewhere, it doesn't take much electricity to run those things. So we keep ours running the whole time, 24/7 when we're in a campground. That's the best tip that you can take with the condensation. Keep those dehumidifiers running 24/7. Another thing that I heard people talking about is heating your RV during the winter. We have a heating video that is really, really great. That heating video shows you how to keep your rig nice and toasty. We were in 20-degree weather multiple times during rain, during snow, and we were able to keep our RV at 80 degrees when it was freezing outside. It was just a matter of placement of the heating appliances, and proper use of your propane furnace. One last issue that I hear people dealing with is their propane, their furnace. They have issues when they switch out the tanks. Your furnace works most likely just like your stove. Sometimes you're going to cut on your stove, you realize it doesn't cut on, you turning on the pilot, you're switching that igniter on, and you're still having issues with the stove coming on. Well, your furnace is nearly the same. All you have to do is start a fire on your stove. Once your fire is started on your stove, that means that the gas is passing through the lines. You want that gas passing through, so when you start your furnace, it has gas in the lines. That's what the furnace is trying to do. It's trying to trigger some of that gas to come through so it can ignite the pilot on the furnace to get the heat passing through your rig. To keep the furnace on, you're going to have to keep the temperature above whatever it is in your rig. So if your rig is at 60, you have to set your furnace to 70. It has to be above the temperature. All the furnace is going to do is going to raise the temperature to the amount that you have set on that control panel. So if you have 60 and you put your thermostat to 60, your furnace to 60, it's not going to cut on. You have to raise it above 60 for it to cut on. So if your temperature in your rig is 60 and you set your furnace to 61, the furnace is going to cut on only for a short period of time until you get up to the 61, and then it's going to shut off. It'll cut back on once it drops below the 60, the 61, but it's only going to raise it to the 61. So you have to raise it a bit more. That's where the electric heaters come in use, so you're not running your furnace so much. You can run the furnace to where your desired temperature is, and then let it shut off. Turn on your electric heaters. Your electric heaters will keep that temperature where you want it, and it saves you on propane. I hope you found these tips useful. Remember, nothing is perfect. We go through troubles on the road. We just have to troubleshoot and try to fix them as best as we can. We help each other out. YouTube has been great for that. Searches has been great for that. So just remember, things happen when you're on the road. You know, you just have to troubleshoot, keep calm, and you'll get over it. Hopefully you enjoyed this tips. I'm Ricky from the Smalls RV Adventures. We're still winter camping. See you next time, everybody.